Welcome to Evolution on the Mic. I am your host, Ariana De La Cruz.
And I'm your co-host, Antoine Dove.
And we are back. We are on season 3, The Journey to Success, episode 2. We've named this one The Prodigal Son. Last week, on our last episode, we spoke about how you are enough, but do you believe it? And if you missed that one, I highly recommend that you check it out. It was very impactful. You know, we got very vulnerable in that one. And we really showcased 3 things that I noticed in my journey that have anchored me, which have been faith, persistence, and resourcefulness. But today, episode 2, Antoine is going to talk about how vulnerability, faith in others, and resiliency is supporting him in his journey to success. And he's going to showcase this based on a story in the Bible called the Prodigal Son, and how this story Antoine has been relating to in his life currently. And you know, we're excited to see how all of this will unfold and how we're going to get so much out of this and how, you know, Antoine related to this story. So we're very excited to hear all about it, Antoine. But before we get into all of that, how are you doing, Antoine? How's your week been?
The week's been great, Adi. Things are picking up. I know the last couple episodes I was saying there was some stuff I was working on. So one of the things I was working on was I was moving to a new firm for my real estate business. And so that has finally gone through. I can officially say that. I am going to be working with this lady. Her name is Leslie Williams. And I met Leslie
Nice.
actually through Toastmasters, and which is amazing because it shows how God works in the ways that he does. So I met Leslie through Toastmasters, and I was sharing with Leslie some of my goals and what I wanted to do in real estate, and how I was really looking for a mentor and someone that I could work with closely as I go through this journey of becoming a real estate agent. And she offered the opportunity. She says, you know, usually I don't work with people. She said, but you have shown through Toastmasters skills that I am completely blown away by. She says, there's things you've done in Toastmasters that I am impressed, and you've left an impression on me. And so I will be open to allowing you to join my firm and work with me. She says, typically I go solo, but I want to have you on my team. And it
Nice.
meant a lot, man. It really did mean a lot because Leslie is the former president for the Raleigh Regional Association of Realtors. So she's been in the game for a while, and she knows a lot of people, and her reputation is everything. And so for someone to trust me enough to be a part of their organization, it just meant a lot. And so that's the first thing to drop. There's other stuff that I am talking with her and her husband about, which could lead into some really fun stuff around new builds and land development and some great stuff. So I'm really excited about that stuff coming down the road. But that's where
Nice.
things are. I've just
Exciting.
been, staying busy and continuing to move forward in areas that I'm very passionate and interested in. So that's where I'm at, Adi. How are things on your
Awesome. Sounds
side of the
good.
world?
Exciting.
Yeah,
I
thanks.
mean, for me, you know, I'm gonna be honest about, you know, things that is going on with me, right? Because I'm realizing, especially in this season, you know, we've named it The Journey to Success for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I don't just always want to showcase my highs, right? I want to showcase some of my struggles and where I'm at, that things that could be working better, things that I could be doing that out of maybe fear, I'm not. And I want to definitely bring that up. So with my funding company, as you guys know, I have been creating ads, and you know, I joined this, you know, marketing agency that has been helping me with that. So I have a team behind me, and it's awesome. And you know, part of creating my ads and promoting myself and becoming an authority in the space of funding is creating content, right? And sounds simple. All I got to do is get on camera like I do every week on the podcast. And all I got to do is talk about what I do. I know what I do, right? I'm very good at what I do. But for some reason, to get on the camera and start talking about it is like I get tongue twisted, like my brain freezes, and I just don't want to do it. So all in all to say, I haven't. I haven't created content as far as just giving value, providing information about what I do with my funding company and how I can help, and just creating content around it. It's very important, right? Because whenever you do an ad, you get people in your DMs. When you're in the DMs, they then go to your page to see, what do you know? What can you do for them? What has been the result that you got? That's important, right? It's not important for everyone because I've seen people in this space make anywhere from three to $500,000 a month, and I go to their Instagram page and they don't have nothing about funding, but they have great ads. And their ads are videos where they're talking about what they do. So even though they're not creating content every day on their IG, their their ads, I guess, are enough because they're explaining what they do and they're talking and people can at least get to know them. And my ads have been videos. I do have video ads that I created with the marketing team. But now that like I have to kind of start doing this on my own, I haven't. And mainly it has been, fear of the camera, talking about what I do, fear of judgment, that people are going to judge me, and that I might not do good the first go round. And so all those things have stopped me from creating content and creating more video ads, right? Because it's a skill. Doing content creation, it's a skill, just like anything else. Marketing yourself, building a brand, these are things that no one learned overnight. And I am in the phase of building the skill. So I am going to be transparent, you know, that this is not a skill that I have 100% formulated, but I know that I'm not going to give up on myself and I'm going to continue practicing and until eventually this becomes second nature, you know? So all in all, you know what I mean? I'm pushing forward, I'm pushing through to get the content down, to get on the camera and just talk about what I do and provide value to people because ultimately everything I do is not for myself. I do it for God and his people that need a service, right? So it's not about me. And when I think of it that way, it becomes easier and more motivating for me to do it, because it's like, girl, it's not about you. There's people that need your service. There's people that need funding. There's people that don't know about other people's money, people that just don't know. And because of who you are, right? My personality, I goes hard for people, right? Those
You
traits that
do.
I that you know,
Yep,
those
you do.
those traits that I naturally have, there's people out there that need that need the hand holding or that need the encouragement or the need a push to believe in themselves to even start a business because I can definitely help people as well to start an LLC, start a corporation if they don't even have one. So it's like nobody's gonna, if they don't know you, they can't flow you. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I gotta do it. Something that I'm struggling with right now. And I know that I'm gonna eventually master it, but to be continued. you
Con-
know?
Content's hard though, Adi. I mean, you know this, right? I mean, we've been doing this as a part of the podcast, and fortunately, the content and things that we are creating comes from our podcast because we know not everyone has the time to sit and sometimes watch a full podcast. But when you're having to come up with content consistently each week and come up with something different and find a new way to say the same thing 15 times, that is 100% a skill. And if I know anything about you, you will master it, but you'll master it in your own timing. And so I know that
Yeah,
when the content does start flowing for you, that it's just going to be just as great as those ads that you've put out, and it will be top notch, and it will attract the people that you're looking to attract.
exactly. I'm very confident in that. I just felt the need to really talk about my struggles and, the things that,
Yeah.
I haven't mastered that I need to do, and I haven't really been doing them as much. So, I mean, I know a lot of people can relate to that because, I just want to showcase we're not just going to start something and the next day perfect it, the
Right.
next day be comfortable, the next day just be like, I arrived. It just doesn't work that way with nothing. And that has been the story of my life. Nothing has just came. I've had to grind and wait and wait and wait and keep trying and failing and dealing with the fears and the insecurities. And then eventually it's like, oh, there she is. It's not
Right.
even an issue for her no more. She got this. So
Right. I mean,
it's one of those things.
it's interesting hearing you talk about this, and this kind of leads into our conversation for today because I think from my experience and my personal story, I really didn't start experiencing struggles. And I say struggles meaning financial struggles,
Mm,
dealing with not having a consistent flow of income coming in on a regular basis I just really started getting into that over the last couple of months. So whenever I went through college and then all of my, go through the traditional track of what everyone tells you to do, I went and got a job. And then from getting a job, I rose the ladder. We talked about this, and I've talked about this in some of our earlier episodes. And I followed the track that we are all led to believe the track you're supposed to be on. And there are some people that working a corporate job, being on the corporate track is their life's calling and their life's mission. For some of us, we know deep down here, like in our heart, we know deep down that we're destined for something bigger than just working in a corporation or holding a cubicle job. You talked a lot about some for yourself, how you knew your mentor's way was your calling, and you knew that since you were very, very young. And so for
Mm-hmm.
me, relating to your story, like you said, this is something you've always had. You've always had to struggle. You always had to push through. And that has built this fortified strength within yourself of resiliency and persistency that has allowed you to become who you are today. For me, that's new. It's a new muscle.
Mm.
Like, I'll never forget the first time I got let go from a job. I was crushed. I didn't know what to do. There was a state of confusion. I went from having the steady source of income to now having nothing. And then from that, I was blessed, thank God. I was blessed that the person I was in a relationship with at that time, her business was starting to take off. And so it just opened the doorway for me to step in and use skills that I had from one industry and transfer it into another. But again, I that was just a one-time occurrence. So it's like I had this frightening scare. Holy crap, I don't have any more income. I lost my job. To, okay, whew, I can breathe. I have a place to settle. I can help her with growing the business. This means great things for our family and for our daughter and things that's going to come. And then I had that experience again, which was back in October. I lost my job again, right? And for anyone that's lost your job multiple times, it's defeating. You start to question things. I started to question myself. What am I not doing right? Up until that time, I've followed the rules. I've played by the rules. I've done the things that I need to do. I've worked at a level that I feel surpassed the level that anyone else that I was working with on teams were doing. I was always the first one there, last one to leave, always making
Mm.
sure the I's were dotted, T's were crossed. Like that was the person I was. And so it was confusing for me. I'm like, what the heck? What's going on? Why am I feeling like I'm the kid that's being bullied, that's getting picked on, that's getting punched in the mouth, even though I'm showing up every day.
Mm.
And going through that experience, though, as I reflect now, being, I think it's 5 or 6 months now, because that was back in October, it being 6 months, 6 or 7 months removed, as I reflect back, I'm like, God, you are a master genius. You truly are. Because the place that God wants to take me to, he understood that I can't keep playing it safe. I can't
Mm.
keep resting back on my laurels and doing things that truly and honestly were not taking me in the place and direction he wanted me to go. Like God's sitting back and he's smiling from ear to ear as he watches all of us move throughout our lives because he sees the ending. He already knows where we're going. And so, although we take these twists and turns and go down different pathways, he's seeing where we're going to go, and he's like cheering us on. He's our biggest champion. He's in the clouds in the sky, and he's like, "Go, Adi, go, go, Antoine, go!" Like he's calling our names and he's cheering us on because he knows what's on the other side. He knows the direction we're going, and so when we get off track, he'll sometimes say, "You know what? I need to intervene here. I need to do something to get them back in the direction of where I need them to go."
Mm.
And that's what I saw as each of those experiences I went through when I lost my job was God redirecting me. The first time was a redirection towards my family. There were things
Mm.
that needed to happen that needed to establish a foundation. When I look at that job and me going to work there, one of the beautiful things is it's set up my daughter to have a great life. Like her mom is in a great position to support her and support the life that my daughter has and all the things that her mom and I had always dreamed of being able to give our daughter, she is reaping the benefits of that, which
Nice.
is beautiful, right? But I
Yeah.
also feel like God was saying, Antoine, I'm not done with you yet. Like there's more in store. And that was what provoked this whole prodigal son story that you were just mentioning at the beginning. Was I went to the beach with my mom recently, and it's been, like I said, 6 to 7 months since I've been laid off. There has not been, and I want to be clear, there has not been a steady source of income coming into my life. There's not been.
Wow.
It's the most scariest position I've ever been in my life. And if, put it this way, there's times where I'm partway through the month and I'm kind of in that position right now where I don't know if I'm even going to have enough to pay my rent, where I
Mm.
don't know if I'm going to be able to stay in the same place that I'm in now. And you might say, well, get out of the place, go find someplace else. Yes, I can do that, right? I can. I can try to go to find another apartment. But the thing you don't understand is when you go to apartments and places, they want to see that you have a steady source of income. That's a part of the income verification process. They want to make sure that you have money coming in. And if you don't have money
Yep.
coming in, they want to see that you got a fat savings or something that they know they're going to get paid on a regular monthly basis. And I have neither of those. And so my experience over these last few months have been a true test of faith. Each month, I'm trusting that God's going to either bring people in my life or put me in the positions to do what he needs me to do that will yield the resources I need to continue forward with this journey. And I think a lot about all those shows. Like Ari and I've talked a lot about Chosen. And again, a shameless plug. If you haven't watched the shows, watch them, because to see
Yep.
those stories enacted in real life is mind blowing. Like when I think of my resources, I think about the story where in Chosen, they show the story of the wedding, and Jesus is at the wedding and they run out of wine. And
Mm.
run out of wine
Yeah.
is at this wedding with these oligarchies and these people who are of high stature who are there at this wedding, and to run out of wine was in many ways frowned upon. And this family of this bride and son, they're mortified, and so they ask Jesus to help them. And Jesus turns the water into wine. But the part that I love about it is that he didn't provide just enough. He provided an overwhelming amount. Like it never ran out. There was surplus at the end. And so when I think about my life, it's the same way. Jesus is always, if you have the faith and if you believe in what God has you on, the track he has you on, and every month, no matter whether or not you look at your bank account and it shows zero, or even if it shows a negative, and I'm telling you, I've been there. If you've ever been in that position and you believe in your heart that the journey God has you on is the journey for you, and you believe that no matter what, he is not
Mm.
going to let you fail, I'm trying to tell you, he will open doors. And I've seen it firsthand. No matter what you've done, no matter your mistakes, no matter how bad you've been at this, no matter the things you've done in your past, God does not see that. What he sees is he sees you. He says, he tells us to come as we are. All he wants is a willing vessel. All you have to have is a heart that is open and willing to do what he has placed you on this earth to do, and he will provide.
Yep.
And when I've gone and I've thought about this story of the prodigal son, getting back to that, I'm with my mom at the beach. And it's weird for me. I think it's weird for my mom to see me in this position. She won't say it, but I think it is a bit tough because my mom knows who I am to my core. Like I'm a provider, I'm strong. I've always made a way, and I've been very blessed and fortunate to be in positions where I've been able to connect with people and get things done and move forward in life. But what I've feel like I've always done is I've always shortchanged myself. I knew what I was destined for something bigger, but what I would spend most of my time doing is selling for the safe choice. When I lost my job, I was a vice president of operations for an e-commerce brand. Prior to that, I was a director for a healthcare company. Like, I have the credentials to go and get a 9 to 5. And someone would say, well, why don't you go get a 9 to 5? Because that's not what God called me to do. It's not. And that may be hard to understand, but for someone out there who understands their purpose, and their purpose burns so deep inside of them and burns so strong that they know without a shadow of a doubt that what they are here on this earth to do is X, and there will be nothing that will stop them from getting there. They know what I'm talking about. They know exactly what I'm talking about. Because when your purpose
Mm-hmm.
is so deep and burning deep inside of you, it doesn't matter if you have to sleep on a couch. It doesn't matter if you have to couch surf around friends' places. It doesn't matter if you have to sell your car. It doesn't matter what it takes. You will do it because you know that God's mission and purpose for your life is greater than anything. And I mean, like, anything that you can get on this earth. There's a reason why you can make billions and billions of dollars and still be unhappy.
For
But you
real.
find someone who's living their purpose, and you will find an immense amount of joy.
Mm-hmm.
There'll not be one moment where you'll catch them down and depressed and upset. They might be a little down because they can't do even bigger than what they want to do, but please believe there's so much joy in their heart. They give from here. And for me, that's the journey I'm on right now. And to get, like, to continue to climb in that journey, it takes some humility. It takes some vulnerability. And so my mom, she's sitting at the beach, and we're at the beach for her birthday, and we're enjoying this experience. And she said to me, because she could see I was very stressed, and that's why she took me to the beach. She's like, look, I want you to come to the beach with me. I know it's my birthday. She says, I'm not asking you to give me any money for this. Blessings. She's like, I'm not asking you to give me any money for this. All I want you to do is just come with me. Just come with me. I said, okay, Ma, I'll come. She said, just come. You need to get away. You need to get away from the environment you're in, and you need to just be in peace with God. I said, okay, all right, Ma, I accept that. And I went to the beach, and it was so hard because the last few birthdays for my mom, I've been the one that has paid for the birthdays. I'm the one that got the mountain house. I'm the one that got the beach condo. I'm the one that did those things so that she can feel celebrated, because my mom has already given me so much. I'm not expecting her to give me anything else. That woman doesn't have to give me anything. But she's like, no, you need to be here. I just want you to come with me. And the whole time she was there, she said, Antoine, I've just been praying and asking God to give me the words to give to you that would allow you to find a peace within yourself. Just because I can sense there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of things that's stirring up in you. And I just want you to feel peace.
Mm-hmm.
And so she said, as she prayed, and she kept praying the whole time we're on the trip, she says nothing was coming to her. Nothing was coming to her. And she said it wasn't until the last day. And that's how God shows up, right? Just when we are about to give up, right? God just wants to see, like, are you going to keep pushing, or are you going to give up? Just as we're about to give up, on that last day, my mom says he brought the story to her of the prodigal son. And I'm familiar with the prodigal son. I know the story pretty well. And she says, he just told me prodigal son. That's what I'm hearing. She said, go back. I want you to read the story of the prodigal son. I said, okay, Mom. All right. I will accept that. I will go back and read. As soon as I got home, I opened up that beautiful Bible that Ariana got me, and I started to read the prodigal son.
Mm.
And I'll give you guys the Cliff Notes version. You can go and read it if you want. It's in the book of Luke. It's in chapter 15. So in the prodigal son, what happens is there's these two brothers, and they're born to a very wealthy man. And this man has, I mean, think of Jeff Bezos, right? He has a massive amount of wealth. And his two sons will inherit this wealth when their father dies. Well, one of the sons decides that he doesn't want to wait. He says, no, I'm good, Dad. I don't want to wait. I want my inheritance now. So his dad says, fine, take it. Here you go. His son leaves. I'm leaving the house. He left everything behind. He left all of the riches, all of that behind. He took his portion and walked out the door. Because guess what? He thought he knew better than what his dad had. He thought that the grass was greener on the other side. How many of us have been in that position where we think the grass is greener on the other side? So he thought the grass was greener on the other side. So he stepped out. I got my cash. I got my money. I'm out. Peace out, dad. Well, while he's out, he's enjoying his life. He's blowing his riches. He's living the lavish lifestyle. He's living the life that he thought that he deserved. But guess what happens? All of a sudden, a famine starts to spread throughout the land. And what's interesting in the Bible is that it actually says the famine impacts him. It doesn't say anything about the land and everyone else. And it's implied, but it doesn't specifically say it. It actually talks specifically to him that there's a massive famine in the land and it impacts him. And he loses everything and he goes hungry. To me, this is when your season begins, right? You've been in a place where you have everything. Everything's flowing. Business is good. You're living the life. You have the house. You have the car. You have everything you want. You're traveling. You're enjoying your life. And then boom, it's all gone. The sales stop. Friends stop calling. You're no longer able to travel. You're looking at your bank account. You're seeing that it says zero or it says negative. You're starting to look at everything in your house to see what you can sell. Oh man, I like those sneakers, man. All right, I got to decide if I'm going to keep these sneakers or I got to eat. I got to decide if I'm going to keep this game system or I got to eat. I got to decide if I'm going to keep this car or if I'm going to eat. I got to decide if I'm going to, spend these next 12, 14, 16 hours working so that I can have a little bit to be able to pay my rent. You start having those conversations with yourself. And as you're going through that experience and you're going through that, this son, he's going through it and he's going through this turmoil. And so finally, he decides to go back home. Now think about that. You just told your dad, I'm out. Give me my money. I'm gone. Like basically, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do better than what you've done. See you later. Bye. Now you're coming home with your tail between your legs because you just got smacked by the world. And as you're coming home, what do you expect would happen? You'd expect, oh, I'm coming home. Dad's going to be like, get in here. I told you you were wrong. You should have listened to me. No. That's not what happened. As he came home, his dad could see him in the distance. His dad could see him before he could even see his dad. And his dad celebrated. He said, my son's coming home. He yelled to all the servants, go get the fattest calf and prepare it, for my son has come home. And I get chills as I think about it, because that is the same way God looks at us. We go out and we make mistakes and we do things because we think we know better. We're all in a position where God has been there and God supports us and God has given us everything we need. And we still decide to step out on him because we think we know better, forgetting that God sees the master plan. He knows what's coming. He knows what your destiny is, but we think we know better. And God's not the type of God that's going to stop you from doing what you want. He gives us free will. He says, please go do what you want. And what God hopes is that through that experience that we learn. And so this son, as he came back, he was so ashamed by what he did. He told his dad, I'm not even worthy of living in the house. Allow me to be with the servants. Allow me to live. Like at one time, he was even living in troughs with pigs, which is like the lowest form you could be at that time. He hit rock bottom. But when he came home, his dad welcomed with open arms. His dad put the finest robes on his back. His dad brought him back into his grace and his presence. His brother was salty. His brother's like, what? Dad, are you serious? He stepped out on us. He left the family. He went and did his own thing. I've stayed here and I've done your will and I've done everything that you've wanted. And yet I'm looking at my brother walk back in here who went off and lived some crazy life, and you welcome him back as though he's done nothing. And all I could think in that moment was, wow, how powerful is that? We can be on either side of that story. We can be the person that has been doing all of these wonderful things and God has been blessing us. And then we see someone coming up who decided to squander and waste everything that they had. And we see them coming up and we're like, why are they getting this, God? Why are you giving them that? We can allow that jealousy and all of that to creep in to spoil the well. Or we can be the person that went out and made the wrong decision. And then we come home with our tail between our legs, asking God for forgiveness. Either way, whichever side you're on, there's a lesson to be learned. If you're coming home and you're that person that went out and you did your own thing and you made some mistakes, it's okay. God welcomes you with open arms. He understands the
Yeah.
mistakes you've made. He gets it, and you've learned from that. And that part really resonated with me. I started to think about when I first started my experience and when I lost my job and what went through my head. And in that moment when I lost my job, there's all this peace. I felt great. Okay, I'm good. I'm okay. Right. At that time, thankfully, Ariana and I had already been spending a lot of time reading books. So we were preparing our minds of things. And I'm so grateful. And this is another point. I keep wanting to jump ahead, but I've got to share this. If you don't have some people in your circle, if you don't have some people in your circle who sees the God within you, get some.
It's
Get
important.
some. Ariana, other people that I know in my life, they saw the God within me. And I'm so grateful for them because since they saw the God within me, they have been a backbone for me in times when I was weak. They've sold into my life in more ways than you would even know. And it's not about financial sowing, it's words, it's heart, it's prayers, it's caring, it's stepping in on my behalf, even when I didn't know that I needed it. And to get there, I had to be vulnerable. I had to accept the fact that I had made mistakes. I had to accept the fact that I was in a place where I was receiving a lot. God was blessing me in a major way. And I was not even giving God the glory. God was allowing me to experience things that some people only wish they could experience. And I didn't give God the glory.
Mm.
I was never grateful for the positions that God put me in. Yeah, deep down inside, I can say I was, but I was not living my life according to the purpose that God had me for. And so, guess what? God said, I'm going to take you back a notch. And He didn't do it out of spite. He didn't do it because He wanted to bring harm to me. He wanted to teach me something. Sometimes God will cause us to take a step back in our lives because He wants you to see something. And sometimes you may go through, if you're someone that's going through the same experience over and over, you're like, why do I keep ending up in the same relationships? Why do I keep ending up in the same job? Why do I keep whatever that
Yeah.
is? It's because you haven't learned something that God wants you to learn. And so it's important that when you start seeing that repetition, you take that step back and you allow yourself to feel in that moment. What is it, God? What is it? What am I supposed to learn in this moment? And that's what I did. God, what am I supposed to learn in this moment? And sometimes He won't speak. Sometimes He'll be silent. And it's in that silence that it's a test of your faith. Because He's not going to give you that assurance all the time immediately. He just wants to know, do you have that faith to keep going? If you don't hear my voice and if you know in your soul, if you know deep down in your heart that God has you on the right path, you don't have to hear His voice to know that. You just need faith. You just need faith to know that He's taking you in the path that you need to go. And with this prodigal son, he had no clue what he was going to walk into when he came back to see his father. He didn't. He had no clue. But he was vulnerable enough to come back into his father's presence and say, Dad, I screwed up. I made a mistake. And his dad swept him with arms. It's okay, son. It's all right. And that's the
Mm.
same way that our God loves us. It's the same way He shows up. So I have so much more I want to say, but I've been chit-chatting, running my mouth here. I need to take a step back. I'm gonna drink me a sip of water here for a second. But Adi, I know you probably on the edge of your seat and you got some stuff to say. I want to hear what you got going on after
Yeah,
you
no, I
respond to
mean,
this.
well, first I want to thank you for getting vulnerable. You don't know how hard it was for me to not like bawl right now, just hearing, how vulnerable, you're getting with your story where you're currently at right now. Because I've known you for a few months now. Well, almost a year, right? In a month, right? In a
Wow.
couple of weeks is gonna make a year that I met you in the A&E.
Yeah.
And yeah, I must say, y'all, when I first met Antoine, I knew that he was a great person. I knew there was like diamonds in there. I knew that there was so much that he can do in his life, but I also seen a lot of ego. And I seen, someone that, was putting up a front sometimes and, like didn't really let the guard down. He wanted to be the support for everybody. He wanted to be the leader for everybody. He was just someone that poured and always put a happy smiley face. And I just knew that there was something, you know what I mean, that could be off, with Antoine. And I didn't realize that until we got closer. We got
Yeah.
closer, and specifically when Antoine was laid off and in October of last year. And I introduced us to the book The Rich and Righteous by Julian Gordon, and everything that I'm hearing Antoine talk about the prodigal son, about his journey, about how it took vulnerability, having faith in others, having resiliency, and all of those components. I really started seeing Antoine develop this after reading, like,
Mm-hmm.
slowly maturing into that after reading The Rich and Righteous. And that book also impacted me, because I used to come from a place of, I'm gonna have all this money and I'm gonna have all these lavish things. And yes, I'm gonna do Mentor's Way, and I'm gonna be able to give back and provide. But at the same time, I felt that initially the money was to fulfill me. Like the money was
Mm-hmm.
going to bring me happiness, was going to be a replacement for me to have like love in my life. It was like, as long as I have the money, right, and the career, and that was enough for me. And literally in reading The Rich and Righteous, it shifted my mindset from a place of being of value, being of service to others. And that comes first. The money will follow. And I come from that more and more now, and I feel joy now no matter what's going on in my businesses. Remember, I don't have, a steady paycheck as far as a boss giving me money. I don't have that no more. That stopped for me January 12th, 2024. Right. So I've been working for myself, and there's times where it's like, what's gonna happen this month? You know, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it doesn't really matter, because now in my mind, it's not the money making me happy. I can see tens of thousands in my savings account. I can see all these things. But guess what? What Those things don't bring that joy, don't bring that peace, doesn't bring anything to me. What brings me joy is knowing that God is in the journey with me. What brings me joy is knowing that I'm doing his will. What brings me joy is knowing that the services that I provide is helping other people. What brings me joy is knowing that all the money that I am going to make, I am going to pour into the lives of others to make other people better through Mentor's Way. Okay, that, and through the books that I'm going to author, through my own story, through my own journey with God. But I don't know if I would have gotten this far in my faith and my journey, that is not about the money, that is not about all the material things, right? If it wasn't for that error that kind of simultaneously happened between me and Antoine with reading Julian Gordon's The Rich and Righteous, because that book definitely taught me the value of being of service and finding your purpose, and that our purpose in life is to give, to be
Yes.
givers, but also to learn when it's okay to receive, right? Being
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable with others, having faith in others, right? Having faith in God. And that's the kind of been the premises of this podcast. And it changed our lives, me and Antoine. So I say all of that to say, like, I'm very proud of you, Antoine, because I can see the vulnerability. I can see you stepping in and growing, and opening yourself up to, asking for help if you need it, to show other people where you're at, that you're not just this strong leader that wants to provide, that needs to be the macho, manly person in the family or for your friends. Like, it's okay that if you're having moments of trials in your life, that it's okay to expose that to the people around you that are going to help pick you up, because they will, and I am honored and grateful to have played a role in your journey. But that's all God, right? Everything that I've been able to say, everything that I've been able to do has all harnessed in me in my heart, because God works through me. And all I want to do is be able to, if I can help pick someone up, like my day is good. I'm happy, I'm blessed. Like that makes me happy, is being able to fill someone up that, needs that, but it's all coming from God. That cup that's being filled, if I'm ever filled your cup, that's me pouring from God, because that's who fills me up. So those are the things that came to me. And it just keeps tugging in my heart, man. The book Rich and Righteous, and how much that shifted us both so much. Like, I'm so grateful for that book, because like I can totally just see my whole self shifting from others, being others centered instead of being self-centered. That, I've struggled with that, and maybe I can talk about that in another episode. you know um I've struggled with, like, being very self-centered and being very selfish, and everything is about me. I spent a lot of my life very much in solitude, right, to myself, and just thinking that I just need me, and I got my own back. Very similar to you, Antoine.
Mm-hmm.
I got myself. I could do things myself. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna figure it out. um and then I had to become open, that no, I need other people, and I can trust in other people, and I can lean on other people when I'm not feeling strong. And that my journey is to be able to, it's just like a mutual exchange. Sometimes I need, sometimes others need. And it's okay to, reciprocate that my resources can become yours. Your resources in time of my need can become mine. And it's a balance that can hold both of us up in times of need. And all of that is, God is the center of all of it. So those are the things that kind of came to me, and everything that you were saying, and the story of the prodigal son, how he went through all those trials just because he saw the money and ran. Like, oh, that's all I need. Peace out, y'all. Like, I don't need my family.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need no guidance, because
Yeah.
I got the money. And it's a fear of mine to have the money and not have family, not have love, not have friends, not have humility. I had told God when I first started my businesses, and I started seeing, chunks amount of money getting deposited in my account from my clients. I told myself, God, if I am not going to remain humble, if you see me becoming the billionaire I see in my head, and I'm not going to be the humble one, I don't want it. You can have it. You can I don't even get me started in making money, because I don't want to be selfish. I don't want it to be about me. I want it to be about all this money and how can I be of service? How can I create
Mm-hmm.
things that are going to help change the world? That's it. And I've even till this day, that's a prayer of mine, that, I want to be humble every step of the way, and everything that God gives me. I don't want it to be for me or about me at all, because I know that the joy does not come from having the lavish material things. I know that for a fact. I've seen chunks amount of money get deposited into my account, and I look at it and I'm like, I don't feel anything. What do I feel? I don't feel no joy. I don't feel no happiness. Okay, the money's there. Now what? Like,
Yeah.
it's like it doesn't bring the true joy, the true happiness that I thought it would. So it's like, I don't want more of that. I need more of being of service and being of value to other people. And that's going to fill my joy, seeing somebody's life change because of what I have created, or because I followed God and I listened to him and I sacrificed and I did all those things. So, I'm
Yeah.
definitely humbled. And just hearing the story, hearing how vulnerable you are, hearing the story about the prodigal son, just in my mind kind of encompasses, I can see myself relating to it. And I hope that everybody that's listening can see themselves relating to this, and how, how things have been in their life, and they can see themselves coming out of certain things, by just putting these things into perspective. You know what I mean? That it takes vulnerability, it takes having faith in others, it takes resiliency, because those things are very, very, very important when you're building something, and especially when you're getting closer to God, because we all know it's a lot of testing that comes in that
Yeah.
journey.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, and I'm so on board with everything you just said, that book was a life-changing experience for me and for us and for the group we had that went through that learning together. It took
Yeah.
all of us to another level. And I'll never forget that day when someone came on the call and they were like, wow, you guys feel different. Like, you look different. You guys are moving different. And it was just after a few weeks reading the
Yeah.
book. And it was
Yeah.
all a shift in our mindsets, because we started to become very vulnerable about where we were and where our shortfalls were. And I think you said a really good piece that I think everyone needs to listen to, which is, if you're not in a position to receive, and when I say that, I mean, if you don't put yourself into a position to receive, you won't receive. And that was a hard lesson for me, but also was the linchpin that allowed me to move forward in my purpose with God and with my faith. I've spent so much time focused on what I need to do and pushing everyone else away from helping me or doing anything from me for me, that it kept me from the blessings that God had in store for me. It kept me from having strong faith because all I could think about was what I needed to do for myself and how I needed to get there and how I needed to do this. It was a lot of I. But when I became vulnerable and I opened my heart for receiving, boy, did God pour. And it wasn't, again, it's not so much about financial pours. It's not so much about all, it's about being able to receive what God has for you. It can be receiving of messages. God will place people into your life. When I tell you God will place people into your life, he will. And
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time also journaling and writing and still do. Like I'll spend a lot of time journaling and writing and asking God to show me things and show me the direction he wants me to move in. And one of the things I always have prayed ever since I went through my experience back in October of getting let go is for God to put the people in my life that will understand my journey that I'm on and will support me. And when I tell you he has delivered, I have people in my life that will just send me a text and say, I'm praying for you. And
Mm.
here's what I'm praying for you with God. And it just, it means so much to me because I know that I've not been in a place to receive that. And now to receive that feels so beautiful. It feels amazing because it shows how much love God has for me, but not only that, how much love the people that God has placed in my lives has for me.
Yeah.
People who just want to see you win, just like God wants to see you win. And once you can become vulnerable and you start to receive, then you start to grow your faith in others. And it's a feedback loop. You become vulnerable, your faith in
Yeah.
others grows, and as your faith in others grows, your faith in God grows. And as your faith in God grows, your resiliency grows. And I've had people tell me before, they're like, I don't know how you are doing this. Like, I would screw that. I would have got a 9 to 5. Like I had someone tell me that the other day. They were like, "How's things going?" And I was like, "Oh, it's still it's moving along." I was like, I'm still not in the position I want to be, and I still have some bills and things that I'm still working on getting paid, and I'm paying a little bit here and paying a little bit there. I can't pay like I used to. I said, but I'm believing that God has me on the right path. And they're like, "What are you doing? Just go get another job. You need to go get another job. Stop. Go get your job." And it's in that moment that I realized that your journey is your journey. Let me repeat that. Your journey is your journey. Don't allow what other people think or what they're saying to distract you from your journey. The
Yeah.
journey that God has you on is for your growth, no one else's. And so don't be surprised if people don't understand why you're doing what you're doing. To me, that's how I know I'm on the right path. When I'm doing something and people get confused and I'm like, wait, why are you doing that? That don't make no sense. Yeah, because you're not me. You don't have the relationship I have with God. God's not talking to you. He's talking to me. As we used to say back in the day, like this is an A and B conversation. So see your way out of it. It's
Oh
the
my.
way,
Yeah.
like this is a conversation between me and God. And the people that God has in my life, that God has placed in my life, when I tell them that same thing, their response is different.
Mm.
Hey, can I pray for you? What can I do for you? How can I support you? What can I do to make sure you get where you need? That's how you know you have people in your life that are God sent. They're not just there to ride the wave. They're not just there to tell you and kick you while you're down and tell you why you need to go back and do something else. They're there because they want to uplift you. They want to see you win. Everyone
Yeah.
in your circle, God, everyone wants to see you win. And so I've been really grateful for this experience. And again, I'm just at the beginning of my journey. Like I'm just getting started in moving in the direction that God has put me on this earth to do. But I know that this story that God is birthing out of me is not only impacting me, it's impacting so many other people. And that's why God has set up platforms like this for Ariana and I to share and be vulnerable about where we're at and things we're going through. Everything that we have talked about in this podcast, I've had to apply in my life. Faith in others is in our tagline. Faith in God, faith in others. It's in our tagline. That was before we even started recording. Being able to be vulnerable, being able to speak to God, keeping our pipelines clean, God taking things away from me, God revealing things to me and saying, hey, this needs to go. Having Ariana share that with me and ask questions and probe and, hey, Antoine, where you at? What's going on? I sense something's not right. All of that was a part of the process, and we've shared it. We've shared
Mm-hmm.
this podcast because we want everyone that's listening to understand that you're not alone. This
Yep.
journey we're going through is for all of us. We're all growing and learning together. There is no wrong. There is no right. Like, it's just your journey and your walk with God. And we're placed here, and God's using us as vessels to let you know that it's okay. He's got you. We got you. We're here for you. Like, we really are. So I,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, this is, it's a lot to process, because I think more than anything, I'm just grateful. Like, my heart fills up every time someone just looks at me and they say, keep going. Like, it touches me, because I know they get it. And I know
Yeah.
that God has sent them there to support me.
Yeah. Well, I definitely appreciate your vulnerability, Antoine, because, like I said, we created and started this podcast to document our journey. And we named it Evolution on the Mic, mainly because it's our evolution.
Right.
And I knew when we started this podcast that this podcast wasn't going to blow up day one, month one. You know what I mean? Year one. And I'm okay with that. We're okay with that because we know what God is doing through us. What Antoine is going through right now and expressing right now, that everything, I'm going through in my businesses and everything that I've prayed for since I was young and that I got placed in my heart, all these things are going to come together. And this is going to be the podcast that's going to be here. It's never going away, right? This material that we have on YouTube, that we have on all these platforms, they're not going nowhere. But you know what they're going to serve? They're going to serve as a showcasing to everyone that's where we're at, that was where we've been, that, that are where we're going, that God is bigger than your trials, that God is bigger than the things that you're going through because he's doing it to grow you. So
Amen.
I am okay that right now this podcast isn't the biggest thing because we started this for ourselves first, to document our journeys first, and hopes that whoever's watching and that will follow can see the miracles that God performs in the lives of those that are faithful to him, no matter what they're going through, no matter how much money is in their bank account, or if they're in a negative, if they're not sure how they're gonna come up with their bills, with their funds to pay their bills. It doesn't matter. When you know that God had put something in your heart and you're following him, he will provide.
Mhm.
Right? God is our provider. He is everything for us. So I definitely appreciate you, Antoine, for coming on and sharing these stories and sharing the prodigal son and everything that you're going through right now. And it is not
Absolutely.
weakness. I don't see it as a weakness. It's a strength
Mhm.
because of where your strength from before, you've seen where it got you. You've seen how things were taken away from you. You've seen that it wasn't sustainable, right? When we are doing things according to our own will and not God's will. So
Mhm.
you're seeing the fruits of the labor now. It's tough because, like you said, you're in the beginning stages of growing this relationship with God and with yourself and with others, but you can see already how beautiful God is being in your life by placing God loving people to give
Mhm.
you some words of
Mhm.
encouragement to keep going, that I'm praying for you. You don't feel alone. It gets
Mhm.
lonely, but you don't feel alone. You're not walking this journey by yourself. And that is the beauty of when you're doing things in God and not in your own will. It's sustainable because God will put people that you will lead, the people that you least expect in the most, moments where you're just like, this isn't gonna happen today. Those are the days and the moments and the people that come into your life to say something, to shift your whole perspective, to shift your day, to shift the trajectory of where you were gonna go. If you were feeling down, you now feel energetic again about the things that God has you to do because God sees everything. And I definitely love him for that, that he sees us, he sees what we're going through, he sees what we're going to go through, and he has already prepared the steps. He has already prepared the people that is going to come and say the things that, we need to hear, that's going to provide us with the opportunities that are going to help us propel. People that are God centered. So God will place people in our lives that are going to lift us up, give us words of encouragement, put us on the path that we maybe want to astray from at moments of weakness. But we have to be mindful of staying away from people that are not God centered, because they might give us good advice, right? That because they're coming from a place of logic, it's not in tune with God, and it can totally take us off course. Because sometimes the people that are closest to us, the people that love us the most, may come from a place of love, may come from a place of concern. And it's like, yeah, Antoine, go and get that 9 to 5 job and go get a W-2 job because it's been 7 months, right? But they're coming from a place of logic. They're not coming from the spiritual eyes, the spiritual heart, the spiritual mind that says there is something bigger going on here with Antoine. And I am not going to take him off his path because of my logic, because God doesn't work in logic. So all I'm saying is that we have to be very mindful in the season of us being vulnerable, who we allow and who we choose to get advice from, who we choose to share our deepest thoughts and our deepest concerns and the trials that we're going through, because they're going to look at things from a human eye. They're going to look at things from a human mind. They're not looking at things from a spiritual lens that only God can give a person that is in tune with him. So it's something to take into account when we're in the journey of being vulnerable, of walking with God, and of, growing in our faith with him, that, not everybody is going to be able to be in tune and see the bigger picture that God sees. So we just got to be careful, right? Because Antoine, imagine if you were to listen to that person that this week told you, just got a job, dude. Like, what are you doing? Like, it's been 7 months, 6 months. You have all the credentials. Just go and get a job already. Imagine if you were to be like, damn, I know this person loves me. Like, I know they mean well. You know what? They're probably right. No, we have to be very careful with that. But another way to kind of if that is happening, is to keep yourself clear, to keep your mind clear, to keep
Amen.
your heart open. Because even if they're saying that you're gonna know, that doesn't feel right. I hear you. I know you're coming from a place of love, of concern, but that is not what God is telling me to do. And all that's gonna do is open up that person. When God starts opening all these doors for you, Antoine, they're going to see what faith in real time looks like. And that
Amen.
is going to, just radically change the lives of those in your life, along with the lives of those watching this podcast and is watching how things are unfolding for you and how things are unfolding for me. And, the guest speakers that we're going to have, how God has used them and how things have unfolded for them. And I just get like chills just thinking about how beautiful God is and how he places the right people, places, and things in our lives to work in our favor. And I hope that everybody that's watching right now can see themselves through what we're saying and their journey and their walk and their struggles. And I hope that everything that we shared has touched and has helped and will continue to help you in your journey. So, guys, as usual, if you have any thoughts, comments, or anything you would like to share, we would love to hear from you. Drop a comment below. And with that, thank you for tuning in and to our next episode. Always remember that having faith in God, having faith in yourself, and having faith in others will create the evolution that you are seeking.